welcome back to another episode of Tech Pro Unicorn Podcast. I am your host, Michael Grace, and today we are going to talk about kind of two things. We're going to talk about digital marketing. We're going to talk about an entrepreneur's journey to build this digital marketing company, how to raise capital, all kinds of things related to business ownership. But we're going to do that in the context of a site called HelloWoofy. If you want to follow along at home, that's Hello, Hello, Woofy, just like a dog, right? WOOFY.com. And we're going to do that with a serial entrepreneur, Arjun Rai, who is the founder of HelloWoofy.com. It's a smart marketing dashboard. We'll talk about exactly what it is. And they just launched a new product, which is very cool. So we're going to talk about that. So much to talk about. He holds fast in a mantra that every small business and entrepreneur should have an unfair advantage that allows them to compete with the unlimited marketing budgets of their corporate competitors. HelloWoofy, he's used his skills to create a seamless, innovative, and efficient digital marketing experience that leverages the power of visualized data science. We'll talk about that. And artificial intelligence. Most of you that follow the podcast know what that is. Boasting more than 10,000 members and having raised more than 1.3 million in venture capital and crowdsourced funding. We're going to talk about that as well. He's on the forefront of the digital landscape, has been networking with some of the most influential entrepreneurs in the country since high school. His drive for helping the underdog began just a few weeks into his enrollment at the New York Institute of Technology with the startup FeelBright, a social media agency specializing in supporting small businesses and startups. He's been part of numerous ventures, collaborating with the creation of HelloWoofy. Lives in New York City, currently joining us from Los Angeles, constantly on an airplane, flying around this country. Has one of the coolest shirts I've seen on any of our entrepreneurs on right now with the HelloWoofy logo. It's very cool. It's like this Einstein-y looking dog. I got to ask, one, welcome, Arjun, to the podcast, and thank you for taking the time.
Sure. Yeah.
I got to ask about the company name. It's such a cool name.
Yeah. The company name really comes, well, first off, my dog, he's a 6-year-old Maltese. He just turned 6 2 weeks ago. And he's our mascot. It's our whole thing is, can we help small businesses, the underdogs, automate their marketing, automate their community building, networking now as well, using a lot of complex technologies. And so HelloWoofy really comes from that, helping underdogs.
I love it. Well, when we look at HelloWoofy, right, the first thing that we see is that the platform helps get more leads, get more sales, and get more followers in less time.
Yeah.
And then it says manage all of your digital marketing in 15 minutes or less, which seems kind of crazy, right? Because if you think about the typical entrepreneur's experience, they're like, oh, I got to create a TikTok video. Oh, now I got to go to Facebook. Now I got to go to Instagram. Now I got to go here. Now I got to go there. And they spend half their day creating posts to try to drive attraction and community and customers to something. And they just spend half their day doing it. And you guys take that and cut down the time. Talk to us a little bit just about what the platform does.
Yeah. That's a great question, and every small business owner knows exactly what that feels like, right? Having to create content all the time, having to recreate successful content all the time, having to find the right emojis, the right hashtags, and then trying to find the right size of the images. I mean, there are just like numerous permutations in those data points themselves, right? So what we say to small business owners is that, hey, let the platform create the content with you. As soon as you start typing a post, it automatically starts completing it with you. We're about to deploy some new technology, which will also create the content, then ask you for your approval. And it's going to find the perfect balance of emojis, because if you take a look at research from Adobe, 2 years in a row, they've published reports called the Emoji Trend Report, which says emojis drive a lot of uplift and engagement. They drive double-digit uplift in engagement, double-digit uplift in purchase intent. People are willing to buy more. Trust factor goes through the roof. People are visually conversing with people. And so why are we not creating content that is visual, right? And you can start with emojis. So our patent actually allows you to figure that out very quickly and easily. And then once you have the message, you have the video, you have the graphic, you have all of that ready to go, and you've been storing it in the library, then it's just a matter of getting it out the door everywhere. So our competition only focuses on one thing, and they do it really well, but they've been doing it for 10 years, which is social media scheduling. What we say is we can do it obviously with intelligence, social media scheduling, but then you can also do web stories, which is for SEO, newsletters, which is really important for email, blogging, which is really important also for driving SEO and overall traffic, and then smart speakers. There are nearly 500 million Alexas and other kinds of smart speakers around the world. Most small businesses and creators, most of our customers are coaches and podcasters and real estate agents, some NFT users as well. They have no idea that they can broadcast directly to their followers and their customers so long as they opt in, and then have them click on a link, go see a house for sale, click on a link and go for a course that they're selling, right? Or maybe click on a link and see what the next drop is for the next NFTs, whatever that is, right on their TV or their speaker. And by the end of the year, so that's 5 channels. By the end of the year, we'll do 8 different channels, and that's still 7 more than our competition. And our competition is very, very successful, and we're definitely on a path to beating the beep out of them.
I love it. If you think about the amount of time that people spend on this, right? I always tell, especially if it's a small company, a startup, right, or a solopreneur, your time has to be spent doing your talent, right? And then you need to find ways, whether it's through technology, AI, or outsourcing, to do all this other stuff, because your talent isn't creating social media posts. And to your point, to your story, we had a guest talk about the power of newsletters. So if you want, go find that one, just search newsletters in the podcast, it'll come up. And she's built, huge business growth leveraging newsletters. So to just do social media posts, that's great. That's one medium. But to hit people in email, right? Again, it's to meet the customers where they are. So to have a platform like this that kind of hits in all these different veins, regardless of where your customers are, right? You're now meeting them where they like to consume information. And they could change all the time. They could be like, today I think I'm going to be on social media. Today I think I'm just going to read my email and look for newsletters and read those. Today I'm going to be, and to have the power of this platform is really kind of cool, right? To a technology geek, I'm like, man, if I could do one thing and have it blast to all these different things and have the platform help me understand emojis, because like other than the poop emoji, I don't pay much attention to emojis. Of course, I'm not the primary audience for a lot of this, so I could care less about emojis, but most people geek out about emojis. My wife always sends me all these emojis, and I'm like, what are you doing? Like, why? So it's really cool. And then you look at it, right, and I don't want to spend all our time talking about the platform, because I want to talk about your journey, which I think is equally as cool as this platform. But a lot of times this stuff is just priced beyond the reach of somebody starting a business. They can't afford it, right? You're like, we're going to bring the power of AI, and it's $2,000, $5,000. It's like some crazy price. And I'm like, you realize they have no money, right? They're starting a business, and they have not 2 shekels to their name. But yet, and we'll talk about that, because I want to talk about how you got more than 2 shekels to your name. But here you guys are like $100 a year is like the entry point. I mean, that's consumable. That's less than $10 a month, right? That's like give up a Starbucks twice out of the week and you've paid for this platform.
Yeah. It's so funny you mentioned that, because one of our competitors, Hootsuite, which is a very respected company in the industry, and they've been around for a while. I mean, I grew up using them for my agency back in the day. And ever since Ryan stepped down, who's such a respected founder and entrepreneur, he hired Tom, who's a former CEO at Zendesk. The company has gone to shit. They've been ridiculed in the public for raising prices. They've been ridiculed in the public for working with certain organizations which are very controversial. I'll just leave it at that. They went through a rebranding, which looks like Angry Birds, very angry birds. I'm like, are you guys even listening to your community? And so when we come in and we're like, we want to help small businesses left and right. We want to help them not only do more, but do it for less, and then come back for more as we roll out more products and more services. I think the long-term vision is to really co-create with that small business owner, which is one of the things that we're going to talk about later is equity crowdfunding. For the first time, equity crowdfunding actually allows you to, as a business owner, to raise capital from your customers. And The average of these numbers are obviously estimates, but the average customer puts in $300. The average customer spends $160 with us. The average customer costs me about $100 or $150, give or take, to acquire, and the LTV is about $650, $600. If you put all of those numbers together, let's say it cost me $200 to acquire the customer on the high side, and the LTV and the amount they put in, invest in the equity crowdfund, and the amount they spend on our service, it's about $1,000. So you that I could do all day. I could sell and get and sell and get all day. And you take a look at successful competitors, and again, we have a lot of respect for them, but they've kind of fallen on the wayside. Like history has shown, Ford and Chevy and Toyota and Hyundai, all these companies have done. Tesla had to come out somewhere and blow everyone away. Focus on design, focus on the customer, the energy, the vibe you get from using. So that's really where we're coming from. Is you're going to see some really cool new UI, new UX, but it's all about the customer. It's all about the building a platform with the business owner, for the business owner, and obviously being run by a small business owner like myself. You can't get any closer to the customer.
I love it. Yeah, the focus. Businesses that grow and scale sometimes just lose. Like, why did you start? What were we? They lose their foundation. They lose their purpose, right? And they're all about profit and growth and scaling, and they're doing so without that focus on the customer. And then you find smaller companies, right? It's the American dream, right? An entrepreneur comes along and goes, I'm going to refocus on the customer. I'm not going to do something necessarily a whole lot differently. In your case, you guys are expanding it, but you're really just back focused on the customer, right?
Yeah, and Bezos talks about this. If you're being customer obsessed, then you'll get there. And if you take a look at Bezos over at Amazon, he is so customer obsessed. I mean, he doesn't want to think about the next year. He wants to think about the next 5 years. And that's the kind of innovation that I aspire to, or Elon Musk, in terms of being so futuristic. We actually built our platform as a prototype in augmented reality. And we realized that most of our customers were working from home. And so what if we could turn their desk, their office space, into a presentation for their clients, right? So imagine where you're sitting, Michael. Imagine being able to say, hey, client, this is what we've been working on the left side by the teddy bears, and then this is your schedule on the right by the camera. If you want me to drag and drop all these pieces of content, I can do it right now. And the customer could be like, or the client, you know what, let me do it. And they can actually drag the piece of content from behind you, drag it over to the timeline, and automatically schedule it for them. And everyone can see, and they don't have to be in the same geography. Yeah. They can be anywhere in the world. And so we're constantly pushing, or like, where is that business owner going, or should be going in the next 5 years? We want to get them there tomorrow. We want to get them there next week, because they deserve to have an unfair advantage.
I love it. I want to talk about the new product before we focus on your story. So, Self-Act. Tell us a little bit about what Self-Act is and how it's a bit of a game changer.
Yeah, so Self-Tact, or short for Selfie for Contacts, and we own selfiecontact.com as well, so it'll take you to the same website. The idea behind that really came from a personal need, which was whenever I went to in-person events, and thank God everyone is coming back to in-person now and live events, I would take a selfie and be like, hey, Michael, let's take a selfie so I can remember our moment here, and let me write down your information below it, phone number, email, where we met, in the Notes app, right? Some people use the Contacts app natively, and then they forget because this doesn't go chronologically, it goes alphabetically.
Right.
Or they add it in Evernote, or whatever they use. It's usually a selfie with some sort of information, and then they forget. Because there's no follow-up, there's no AI, it wasn't meant to be a contact Rolodex, right? So in this case, what we did is we built an app that does exactly that. You take a selfie, it automatically asks you for your number, your email, and then uses the geolocation to craft a message that says, hey, Michael, we met over in Los Angeles, California. Let's connect. Here's my Calendly link. Looking forward to connecting with you. And then below it is a selfie, full resolution. Below that is a VCF card, which is something that you can throw into your Contacts app when you receive the email or the text. You can do both. And then you can also do a filter. You can actually have like a filter, like a branded filter for an event. So for example, if we're meeting at the Forbes conference or the AdTech conference, maybe we're working with these organizations, and they want specific filters to come out. And so every time we take a photo, it'll have like the ad tech or the Forbes
Mm.
logo in the background, and that'll be something that's a memory forever and it'll live forever. The brand will live forever. So that was just a personal thing, and now it's taking off. You've already got 2 major conferences signed up to make it their official app.
It's so common. I remember we went to HIMSS, right, big healthcare technology conference.
Yeah.
And I was doing that, right? I was like, okay, I've never met this person, and we're having a great rapport. They'd be like, hey, do you want to take a picture, right? Because we're giving out unicorns. And they'd be like, oh, we should take a picture with the unicorn. Yeah, so we'd take a picture holding the unicorn. It was really cool. But then I was like, it's in my photos, right? If I pull up my phone, it's there. I can pull them up. But it doesn't tell me. I can't tell you if I look at that picture. I don't know who that person was.
No idea.
Bob, Jim, John, Mary, Jane. Like, I have no idea.
Yep.
And I know based on the time frame maybe of the picture, I would be like, oh yeah, I was at HIMSS. That must have been from HIMSS. But I don't have their contact information, right? That's in our separate CRM that I also don't follow up on.
And then you got to go on LinkedIn and match the avatar.
And how personal is it if I send you an email and go, hey, Arjun, it was great meeting you. Would you like to have a meeting and talk about business? Or I send you this really cool selfie that you and I took with the unicorn. Yeah. And I'm like, dude, had a blast with you, right? Total different change of conversation.
Totally. Yeah.
I'm now friend to friend, peer to peer. You're more likely to want to hang out and do business with me than, some formal bullshit email that everybody gets post conferences, right? Here I can send you a picture. I mean, it's a game changer to me. It's really pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. You get it.
I mean, it's awesome. And it's out there now, right? So I see download on the App Store. Yeah, that's very cool.
And it's free. Right now it's free.
Free is good.
Free is good, and we're just trying to figure out how to monetize it. We're definitely using it as a lead magnet for HelloWoofy. Because what we're realizing is a lot of the conference attendees and small businesses, they need a social media scheduler. They need a marketing scheduling platform. And so we're upselling that soon within the app itself. But it's free for now. Wow. We may turn on revenue, a couple of dollars a month, a couple of dollars a year, but it's doing really well. And the other cool thing is you can actually see a Google Maps version inside the app of where you met people. So if I zoom out into North America, you can actually see where I've traveled, who I met there, tap on those pins, and I can call the person and be like, hey, this is Arjun. We met in Dallas. Good to, just following up, seeing how you're doing, or you can text them right there too.
Yeah, or you're going back to a city. You're going back to Dallas, and you're like, oh, I met 3 people there.
Yeah.
I should touch base with them and let them know I'm going to be in Dallas, and I'd love to take them out to dinner.
Yeah.
Right? Amazing. Yeah. Okay, I'm beyond impressed. All right, so now I get to meet some of the coolest founders and ideation folks, in the tech space that take tech and empower business, and it's just it's the whole reason I do the podcast, because otherwise we'd never be having this conversation, and I'd be clueless about so much of this. So you started all this, right? What was the impetus to go, I have an idea and I'm going to bring it to life and I'm going to go get funding and stuff? Tell me a little bit about your story.
I'm just an inventor at heart. I remember building flashlights when I was 6, 7 years old. I remember throwing on the computer when I was 6, 7 also. And so I love inventing. In fact, my 10-year goal is to open a Hogwarts, kind of like Harry Potter, and have kids who want to learn about art and technology, create inventions, fund them if they work on something that really takes off, and if they're underage, then work with the parents to help them come with line up their career so that they're successful, and then fund whatever that means down the road with venture funding, and take them to market. So there's little things like that. It's just I'm really fascinated by inventing, creating, where the future is going. I mean, I love Star Trek more so than Star Wars. We can have that debate another time. But it's all about where can the human race and the civilization go. So I was just having this conversation yesterday on a date, and I told her, hey, I like having conversations about how my work is impacting my community and our customers, but more importantly, how it's impacting the civilization, right? How is it being pushed forward? And my competition doesn't really think like that. And especially if you're publicly traded, then you're like quarter by quarter, your horizon's
Yeah.
short. And so I started working on my first company when I was a teenager. Didn't do so well. Learned about co-founders. Came to New York, negotiated a full ride scholarship, launched an agency, learned how to work with companies around the world. All of this was like a crash course in MBA, right? In terms of business, and then raised about $1 million for my third company, which was essentially an early Monday.com of sorts. It was a very visual drag and drop, limitless canvas. It's kind of like a Prezi for project management. Way too early, way too futuristic. And then, of course, we had to shut it down. We raised from the wrong kinds of capital sources. We never got to market. So I learned about product roadmap, technology, hiring the right people, working with the right investor. So again, an MBA course, a crash course. And then we came up with HelloWoofy about 5-6 years ago, and we relaunched the company 3 years ago, and constantly learning about what it's like to be a cat with 90 lives at that point. And along the journey, when we relaunched the company, my mom passed away. She never was able to see the success that we've achieved now. We got on a TV show, which was Tim Draper's TV show, and he ended up investing as a multi-billionaire. It just miracles just happened left and right. We just kept moving forward. We kept moving forward. We had acquisition offers come through as well. We turned those down. It's all about the mission, which is to help every underdog around the world. And that's why we love doing equity crowdfunding, because it allows those every underdogs to be a part of our journey and have the upside as we scale.
And there's crowdfunding's kind of right. I mean, I think you're the first guest that we've had that's actually done some sort of crowdfunding, right?
Yeah.
A lot of people go after equity and go after investors and angel investors and such. The crowdfunding thing, right? And there's a lot of different sources out there. You can go browse things and have an opportunity to invest in them. How did you guys go about crowdfunding? Like, did you go to the site and put yourself out there?
Fun story. So we actually auditioned for that TV show, Meet the Drapers, at Republic's office, which in New York. And Republic's a platform where you can do Reg CF, and I believe now Reg A as well. Two different kinds of raises. And we were actually turned down. We were told that we were too early. It's not a good fit. And then a few days later, my dad called me up and texted me saying, "Hey, your mom's been taken to the hospital. You need to come down right now." And so we came to Princeton. She ended up passing away a few days later. But before that happened, I got an email completely from left field saying, "Hey, we want you on the show. How soon can you fly to California?" I was like, "Oh my God, what's going on?" And so my mom passed away, and that happened. And I came to California as soon as I could and filmed the TV show. We ended up winning the first episode. We got on the second episode. We got on the third episode, the finals, and we won. And it was pretty groundbreaking for us. And then Tim came in on top of that, plus the equity crowdfunding. So we really kind of fell into it, and we became so good at it. We raised $1.3 million in equity crowdfunding to date, and most campaigns raised like $50,000, maybe $75,000 per campaign. We've done pretty well, which is why we're launching another one very soon, letting our new customers get involved as well, because a lot of people have missed out on it. In fact, we got some celebrities getting involved in this one too.
Awesome. Yeah, I think, when people think of it, they think of like Kickstarters or Indiegogo, right?
Yeah.
And to your point, a lot of times stuff that's out there never gets fully funded, never really comes to market. The entrepreneurs and companies behind it never get enough funding to really bring it to life. It remains conceptual, and people that invest get their money back, and it just kind of all falls apart. So it's almost like fortune, right? I mean, it's a bit of a I think there's for sure a little bit of, if you have a great idea, it will succeed, right? There's a little bit of that. There's probably a little bit of luck. As the guy behind this, how was that journey for you, right? I mean, you're going through some personal challenges that are I mean, obviously pretty traumatic. You're trying to build a business. You've got all these competing priorities. How did that mental and spiritual kind of aspect how'd you hold it together, I guess, is the bigger.
Yeah, I mean, I read a book called The Secret almost 15 years ago, and it really taught me about mindset, law of attraction,
Hmm.
um, and what you focus on is what you get. And till this day, I've listened to that book probably 1,000 times now, but I still keep listening to it, and it really does help me come back to center. Funny story. So I look up to a guy named Grant Cardone, and I used his book, The Closer Survival Guide, to raise probably like $200,000-300,000 in the early part of the company, and I used every sales tactic he had in that book. It was on Audible, and then I'm on the set for the TV show. I think it might have been the second episode. And I just finished, I just wrapped up, and I'm walking upstairs. And I turn to my left at the top of the stairs, and guess who's standing there? Grant Cardone. And I was like, what is the universe telling me? What's going on here? And so I told him, hey, you've been so inspirational and pivotal for where we are today. I love your book. Here are the clothes I've used, and he got me on video actually saying all of this. It's just little things like that. It's just miracles. Like you get what you put out, and so that's even today. Like most people don't know what's actually going on in my head, and whatnot. But you have to have a facade. You have to have a face for the public, and then have a core group of friends that you can confide in and work with as well.
I love it. Um, you mentioned kind of networking, and you can tell just from your personality and your persona, right, that you're a generally a gregarious, kind of outgoing guy. How important was networking to building the business and making those connections?
Very, very pivotal. I remember back in college, I was going to like 7 to 10 events a week, skipping classes left and right. I think I had like a 60-70% absence rate. But
Wow.
the school saw what I was doing and kept supporting me. And that's how we raised capital. It just happened to be I met someone that met someone else and made the introduction, and we raised funding. Met someone else who introduced us. Someone else became a customer, or just a friend. And so I just put myself out there as much as possible. Now, I mean, I'm still seeing a little bit of a slowdown in in-person events in New York, but they're happening. They're happening slowly. What we need to do is start getting back into the rhythm of things and getting back into in person, because that is so much more important than Zoom-based conferences and meetups, because you really don't get that energy, that vibe, and in person. You can go after the event and grab dinner or coffee or tea or something like that. It's just little things like that. But that's how I built my entire career, is in person events, and that's makes sense why I built selfiecontact.com, which is again a HelloWoofy product, to make it even more meaningful.
I, I it's just everything's kind of makes sense, right? It's just all connected. It's when you lay it all out, kind of the journey you went on. It all makes sense. It might not have when you were going through it, right? I'm sure it was like, oh shoot, what am I doing? How do I do this? How do I get from here to there? But kind of top down outsider looking in, I'm like, wow, that makes sense, right? He was here, he did this, it connected to this led to this, right? And the dots look pretty connected. Um, the vision around your products is really kind of cool. Is that really driven by you? Do you have a team?
Yeah.
How do you get that feedback from, like, what do the customers want? How do you stay connected?
Yeah, I would say 70 to 80% of the time we spend our resources in things that we know are going to make money and customers want and need. And I would say probably 10 to 20% goes into R&D and things that I see the future of small business marketing or whatnot. And that's kind of like the realm of sci-fi and where the future is going, or where we're going into the future rather. And so I've had that approach from the very beginning. And so the Alexa speaker scheduler came out of that. The self tac came out of that, for selfies for networking. We have actually another app that's coming out for paid marketing, because most people don't actually take advantage of their comments on their paid ads. They just let them be there and they don't respond. And I actually respond to almost all of them in video format. which is very hard to scale, but has driven a lot of investment, has driven a lot of revenue for us because I took the 20 seconds to respond to someone. So I would say there's an 80-20 rule there in terms of spending resources, spending time. And then once we release, we kind of do some surveys before that to gauge the level of interest. But sometimes we just ship because we know this is where civilization is going. It has to go in that direction. Elon Musk didn't go around asking, "Hey, should we build a spaceship?" It just had to be built because the future of our civilization is to go to other planets, right? So there's a little bit of like sometimes pioneers just have to be pioneers.
I love it. One thing you said about the use of video, I use an app called Loom all the time.
I'm actually meeting up with the founder in 2 weeks.
All right, tell him I love his product. Because it allows you just to create short, we're not talking about like webinar type videos, 30 minutes. Just if I want to send Arjun a message, I might be like, "Hey, Arjun, it's Michael. Hey, thanks for being on the podcast. I really enjoyed it." Right. Again, it's a differentiator in communication methods. It's person to person, well, not person to person, not live, but it's such a difference maker, and I'm more likely to interact with that and feel obligated to respond because you took the time to do something in video than I would be if you sent me an email. I'd be like, delete, thanks, whatever.
Yeah.
It's so much more easier. I call it building friendships, right? Like it's harder to lose a friend than it is to lose just a casual contact.
Yeah.
It's awesome. I want to talk a little bit about the smart speaker marketing, only because part of it is I don't understand it, and the other part is I do think it's cutting edge, right? It's kind of cool. When I went to HIMSS, I met with the Amazon Alexa people. I got to make sure I don't have one of the devices in this room, or it's going to light up and start talking to me. But what they're doing from a healthcare perspective with Alexa, and I'm under NDA, so I can't talk about it, is really pretty amazing, and it's coming soon, probably a year away, to an Alexa near you. But you leverage that platform as a developer as a way to interact. Maybe talk to us a little bit about what that is and what you see the vision for.
And there's a demo of this on our website, and so you can just click on it and take a look. It's like a 5-10 minute demo. But the idea is that there's so many speakers for sale. They're about 500 million estimated. They're about 500 million different kinds of speakers. You got the towers, you got the strong ones, you got the ones with the touchscreens built in, you've got the Fire TV, the Fire Sticks, plugged into your TV with the HDMI connection. So you got a lot of these smart speakers around the world, and majority of the market, let's just face it, is dominated by Amazon. Then you have Google, and then you have Apple, and they really haven't open up their developer ecosystem as much as Amazon has, because they don't have as much data and following. But in our case, and again, you can see the demo on HelloWoofy.com, is the idea is that if you're going to schedule that video to as a reel to your Facebook, to your Instagram, to your TikTok, great. Why don't you push it and send a notification out saying, hey, check out this new video talking about the 101s of podcasting. This is the top 3 things you need for your podcast in order to be successful, like Michael. And then you can play it, and then I'll actually receive a notification. It'll turn as a yellow ring on my notification if I've already downloaded the Michael podcasting app or the skill. And it'll say, hey, you got a new notification. Here's a notification. It'll read it for me, and then I can click on it. It'll open up the skill or the app, and then I can go ahead and actually legit watch the video on my Fire TV or the Fire Echo Show, which is the visual, the touchscreen version. So it's like little things like that that really make it super meaningful. Now, watching is one thing, notifying is one thing. You can put a link next to the video, and you could be like, hey, if you like these top 3 devices, gadgets, recommendations for things you need for your podcast, click on the link to the left of your screen and go ahead and buy that. And they'll go on their smart TV or their Fire Show Alexa device, and then go to your website and buy from there. You might have an affiliate link behind it, and you'll be able to do commerce right there. And so it's a very different version. It's like QVC on steroids. It's like the home shopping network on steroids, in that you are able to do push content so long as the consumer has opted in. That's the most important part.
It's again, right, a focus on the customer that you're approaching this with. It's, hey, customers are talking to Alexa. I don't want them to have to go to a website. I don't want them to have to open an app. They're sitting on their couch and they're just talking to Alexa. Why don't I interact where they are again, right? I talk to my Alexa too damn much. So much so that she's starting to, talk back to me, I think. But I got my mom an Alexa, and she loves it. She calls it her companion,
I've got
right?
11.
Yeah. I mean, I probably have, I probably have like 8. I have them outside, right? Outside on my patio, I have a little Alexa ball. All the kids have them in their room, right? I like that I can broadcast messages through the house. Like if I'm like dinner time, I'm no longer like, hey, everybody, dinner time. I'm like, Alexa, announce dinner time. And she'll ring a little chime and it'll be dinner time. Our house isn't that damn big, but it's just really cool for the techno geek in me to announce dinner across all the Alexa. My neighbors will laugh because they'll be like, yeah, I know when dinner time is because your Alexa outside tells the entire neighborhood, when your dinner time is. I'm like, oh yeah, I didn't.
Funny. I actually, I used to train animals in the past with. There was a naughty corner in my kitchen where if one of my pets, did something like broke something or peed somewhere or whatnot, they would go in the naughty corner for 5 minutes, and I would be like, Alexa, play the 5-minute naughty corner timer, and she would repeat it and say, okay, Arjun, I have started the 5-minute naughty corner timer. And it was so funny. I recorded it. I put it on social, and Amazon reached out to me and was like, hey, can we use this in our ads? And I was like, sure, why not? And it was so funny that conversation.
Oh, cool.
On Twitter. But I literally use it for everything. Turn on the lights, turn on the TV, turn on the chandelier. I do a lot of carpentry at home, so I try to make the carpentry work, intelligent and connected to Alexa. So turn on the smart desk, turn on the home theater system, whatever. It's such an interesting, and it just took off during the pandemic. Like more people are stuck at home, more people bought these, and I don't think if anything else, if that didn't happen, then smart speaker marketing may have taken another 5 years. But what happened in 2020, 2021, it accelerated QR codes, it accelerated delivery services,
it sure did.
Accelerated smart speakers. In terms of like how you order food, like so many industries. 5 years in the making, it happened in 3 months.
I love it. Yeah, the pandemic it's got its downside for sure, with loss of life and illness, but so many things. I jokingly say, like, we did 10 years worth of work in 30 days, right? Yeah. We literally moved an entire country to remote work in 30 days.
Yeah, entire world.
Yeah.
It's so interesting. I mean, if you take a look at Gene Roddenberry, her work and how Star Trek is written, and there's some white papers on this, we're heading in that direction in terms of civilization going towards, universal payment processing, universal careers, what Starfleet became or the Federation. We're just 100 years away from that. And maybe another time we can talk about controversy and theories and UFOs and aliens and ancient aliens.
I'd love to. Yeah. I mean, right? All I want is my doors to go swoosh. I want to be able to sound red alert, and I want to drink Romulan ale. If I can do all 3 of those, my life is good. I can die at any moment after that, and I'll be great.
Yeah.
Very cool. Well, I mean, this is a lot to consume. I challenge people to go to HelloWoofy.com. There's lots of video interactions where you can see the platform. There's a really energetic video of Arjun out there where he's just talking about the company and what they do and such, which is also really cool. Demos of how to create on there. It's super. I was stalking this before we started the podcast, and it's super simple in minutes to create content. And even if you're like, oh, I don't know what to say, okay, great. The platform will help you figure out what to say. It's really kind of almost spooky, right? For those of you that are like technophobes, you might find it a little weird that the platform is going to suggest relevant messages for your audience. But why not, right? Like, why not have that advantage? Leveraging then all of the knowledge that you have around digital marketing to know what's effective and what's not. Really helping creators get messages out and not spend all damn day doing it. It's not your core business. Stop it. Stop spending half a day because it's fun to be on the black hole of Facebook and the black hole of Instagram. That's not your core business. Don't do it. What a cool tool, accessible price, really cool founder story. So Arjun, thank you for taking the time, man. This is
for you.
yeah, this is very cool. I always geek out when I have really cool founders and really cool technology.
Yeah.
It fires me up. It inspires me to be better. And then the fact that you're making it accessible, at a reasonable price is also awesome.
Well, and on LinkedIn, help me up on Instagram, and for your audience, if there's anything we can do, write in just at arjun@hellowoofy.com. Go to our website, my contact's there. I personally get on sales calls as well sometimes, and we have a great team for support. So just come to us. Tell us what your story is as a small business owner, and if you're potentially an affiliate, potentially someone that we can collaborate with, we're happy to give you compensation for that. So
that's awesome.
Definitely reach out.
And then self-tact, I don't know if I want to say self-tact or self-act. Either way, I love it.
Yeah.
And I just remember my time at HIMSS, and I was doing it. I just wasn't doing it in the app, right? I was taking these selfies. It's such a cool, I'm kicking myself going, why didn't I think of that? That's brilliant. I was excited because I had a digital business card, and where people do you have a card? I would just tap my digital business card, or my phone I could tap, and it would give them all my contact information, point to my website, do all this really cool stuff, and I was super excited about that. I would have been way more excited, if that's even imaginable, if we were doing something with self-tact. So very cool, sir. Thank you for continuing to, just innovate, leverage technology, empower businesses, empower entrepreneurs and smaller businesses. I love, just the premise with which you're really approaching this, which your mission statement is awesome, to kind of empower humanity here with technology, and help these small businesses compete against the giant entities. It's very, very cool. I'd love to probably have you back and talk about Star Trek and Star Wars, because I tell people, I can't choose. And they're like, you have to choose. I'm like, the joy is I don't have to choose. I love them both. And I love them for different reasons. So,
that sounds good.
Arjun, thank you so much for taking the time today and visiting the podcast.
Awesome. Take care.